Yes, good evening and welcome back to the third tier. It's Monday, the 24th of May. I've got a croaky voice from Football on Friday. It's good to be back. It's good to be discussing the drama of the playoffs. And tonight we've got a special guest. We're joined by Kaz from the Gascast and more importantly, Hergametoo. But first, let me introduce the normal guests or presenters, should I say. Welcome back, Ben. Ben, how you doing?
I'm very good, Tom, and looking forward for another fun-filled show and talking about obviously the important matters with the Hergametoo campaign and also the big game on Sunday afternoon at Wembley between Lincoln and Blackpool.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Also, Matt, how you doing?
Very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, been enjoying the playoffs. I think, like everyone, from a neutral perspective, it's lovely because you can sit and enjoy every game and not feel the stress that I'd imagine you were feeling for at least a few minutes on Friday evening. But we're going to have to pay to talk to our guests tonight, aren't we? They're all big time now. I've seen they're on the Channel 5 tonight, I've heard. So
Channel 5, BBC. And on that note,
taking over the world.
A familiar face, Kaz. Good evening. How you doing?
Evening, guys. Thanks for having me back on so soon. I wasn't expecting to be back on so soon, but kind of did something big, didn't I? So, let's talk about it.
We're not here to talk about that, really. We're here to talk about your predictions on your last appearance. But yeah, we'll start off with there's no real League One news apart from the fact that we have no allocation of tickets. I don't know your thoughts on that, Ben, but we've been allocated 3,951. Obviously, it's a shambles. They're not open in the top tier. And obviously, we've seen test events where it looks relatively empty with 22,000 in. So what's your thoughts on the ticket situation?
It's an absolute joke. You look at the FA Cup, you had 22,000. No, there's only 6,000 from each side, and a lot of them were locals, and I get that. In my opinion, it's good to see fans back of some sort. It's better than nothing. But when you think about it, they could easily do 10,000 each and make it a quarter of the ground, even if it meant, you have to wait 20 minutes extra at the end, and it takes a bit longer to get out. Maybe it takes a bit longer to get in. Nobody would mind that, and it would make a better playoff game. But you've got to look at the positives. There's fans in. There hasn't been pretty much fans in all season, so at least there's something, and at least. I know some Blackpool fans are going to miss out that were season ticket holders. Some will miss out from Lincoln, but most are allocated for, which is the only positive. If it would have been Sunderland, you would have had 30,000 upset season ticket holders rather than 3,000. But it's a joke.
Yeah, good evening, Joe. Yeah, it was great to see you on Friday, mate. It's the first time I think we've properly met, so good to see you at the Armfield, and it was a great evening. Matt, your thoughts on the ticket situation? I think Ben's just alluded to the fact if Sunderland did have or get to the final, if they didn't bottle it again, if they did have the 10,000 there, or like their season tickets that they were there the other day, do you think the EFL might have considered letting more fans in, or do they see Blackpool and Lincoln as they're not going to probably change their minds? But if it was Sunderland, they might have done something a bit differently, or do you think they stick to their guns regardless?
The EFL, no idea, to be honest. I'm pretty sure they make most things up as they go along, don't they? So they could have changed it. They might not have done, but I think just to reiterate what Ben says, it seems ridiculous that the Premier League teams can go there and play a cup final out in front of just over 22,000 last weekend, and then little old League One gets put on the back burner again, so to speak, and you get just under 4,000 tickets each, which means that the majority of the crowd's going to be the prawn sandwich brigade, unfortunately, who probably miss most of the game because they'll be in the corporate bar and won't be watching the football. And it'll just mean that the atmosphere is even more diluted than it would be if there was 20,000 or whatever the figure is, proper Blackpool and proper Lincoln fans, unfortunately. But is it really unexpected? Not really, sadly.
Good evening, Peg Legs. Great movement that Kaz has started. Fantastic work. Sharing about Emma and Hanlon, though. Absolutely. And Kaz, Matt just said, obviously because it's League One, but Swansea and Brentford are in the same boat as are the League Two sides, and Newport as well. So it's just a bit ridiculous overall. I think going to the game on Friday, there was probably more fans in their Friday at Bloomfield Road than there is going to be Blackpool fans at Wembley, which just blows my mind first and foremost. But at the end of the day, they had allocated seats. Some fans were social distance, and don't get me wrong, we were all together. We hugged when we scored. There was no sort of getting away from it, but it just seems a bit ridiculous of an allocation. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, it's not exactly fair. And I always think with like, yeah, I just feel bad for the diehard fans that are going to miss out. Like Ben said, with the season ticket holders that won't be able to go. And you think, okay, like we've all missed out.
Oh, Kaz is froze.
Internet playing up.
No worries.
Am I back?
We got to the diehard fans are going to miss out.
Yeah, so those diehard fans are going to miss out. Obviously, it's not fair if no one can go at all, then it's a bit easier to deal with. But I just feel bad for those fans. Like you said, there's definitely capacity to do it. So why they can do it for some teams but not for other teams, it just seems really unfair to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe's just added to his comment. The atmosphere at Bloomfield Road on Friday night was something else. Only 4,000, and Critchy was right, sound like 40. Sky didn't like our imaginative chants, though. Brilliant chants from the Blackpool fans. PLGS or PLG Spooky is the same for Brentford and Swansea. They have started a petition, which I don't know if you guys have seen today. The actual official club Twitters have tweeted out saying, bleeding, saying let us have more fans, basically. And I think if they're going to make a decision, it needs to be in the next 48 hours maximum, because they're going to have to put those tickets on sale, and then fans are going to have to get there, etc. So especially for Swansea and Blackpool fans, etc., have to travel quite a far distance away. Good evening, Les. Nice to see you on the channel again. East Riding of Yorkshire. I love the playoffs. I think we all do. I think last night's game summed it all up, didn't it? I don't know if you watched Prevalent to League One, really, because it's going to be a very interesting final on the return of Kevin Ellison versus Derek Adams.
I didn't watch it. I was watching the telly with the wife, and because I've watched a lot of playoff football at the weekend, so I decided to swerve it. And then I checked my phone after 7 minutes, and it was 2-0. And I thought, what have I done? And it ended up 4-3 or something ridiculous. Yeah, but Kevin Ellison, what a side note to the whole game. Obviously, I think he tweeted this morning and said he was off to pack shelves for a living in August, wasn't he? Because he'd been put on the scrap heap by Derek Adams, and now you've got to get on Newport to win, haven't you? Surely, and Ellison to score the winner at Wembley, it'd be unreal. I'm slightly biased. I think Morecambe have done brilliant in that division, but I'd love Newport to go up because they're managed by an ex-Gills player, Mickey Flynn, who's a top bloke and a top gaffer as well. So I'd love Fleetwood. Fleetwood, where's that come from? Newport to come up. So and it'd be a new ground next season as well. So
yeah, Flynn used to play for Blackpool as well. He certainly had a lot of passion and. The most technical bit of able players, but he always showed fight and popped up with the odd goal as well. Gaz, did you watch the game last night? Internet gone.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what my internet's doing today. Yeah, I did. I thought it was incredible. And Ellison, obviously the oldest scorer ever now, isn't he, in the playoffs, which is amazing. He's always been someone who you always sort of remember. And then, getting Morecambe in the final, you kind of could.
So you couldn't write it any better. There we go.
Absolutely.
So 45 minutes on the train for me in League Two, so I'm excited for that one.
Absolutely. And Ben, we'll move on to obviously the games. Obviously, we haven't been on since both legs. Some interesting games. Obviously, Blackpool kicking things off with a 3-0 win. I, for one, was blown away by one, our performance, and two, but I don't know if Oxford were lackluster or we were that good. But did you watch the game? I take it because you went to the pub, didn't you? What were your overriding thoughts at the end, at full time? Because Oxford were in it at some points, and there were some dramatic moments, especially early doors.
Tactically, it was brilliant by Blackpool. Absolutely brilliant. I've said many, many times at the start of the season when Blackpool are playing this pretty football, if they can simplify it a little bit, they will get results. Added a few bodies in Dougal, Stewart along the way. They've got the strikers as well. So I thought Oxford will come at Blackpool. Blackpool will get through over the two legs for their defensive run, and they'll get a goal on the counter. And obviously Turton gets the goal of all people. Not a goal scorer, but he's finding himself in there. He gets his goal. And then Oxford come again, and Blackpool sucker punch again, second goal. And then they go and get the third through Ellis Sims, who's been absolutely fantastic since coming in January. I think it's 9 goals now, isn't it? So I don't think Oxford weren't great. They only created one chance, but you've got to see that was down to a resolute Blackpool. They didn't give anything away. Everything that came to the box, they got it out. They gave it to the midfield. And the midfield, fed Yates and Sims. And on another day, Blackpool could have probably had a couple of other goals. Like Yates had a chance that he normally scores. So it was good to see. It was good game, good spectacle. I was going to say it's good to see, but for me, I'm not quite sure. No, but Blackpool deserved it in the first leg, and Oxford had it all to do. And don't worry, Oxford fans. I know how it feels to lose by 3 goals in the playoff first leg.
Just comments back to the fans, really. Barmy really, as both cup finals were a success. 20,000 is more than achievable in each playoff final. Absolutely. What's the plans for the 30 in the off season? More to come on that, really. We're going to take a couple of weeks break after next Monday's show. I may not even be in a fit state. I think either way, whatever the result is, I might be sitting out next week's show now. I joke. But yeah, it will be the last show next week, and then probably a few weeks off, and then maybe we're going to get some guests on pre-season to talk about their windows and just what we think of, the up and coming season. There's no rest for the wicked, but we will take a few weeks off. And I know Ben's done 92 streams since the end of the season already, and I know Matt's enjoying himself with some time off as well. Evening, Charlie. Evening, lads, and Kaz.
I think we're looking for a new host, aren't we, Tom? So anyone that wants to apply, now he's going up to the championship, we're taking applications in. So you just put them in the comments.
You heard it here first. Ben thinks Blackpool going up. First time viewing, looks a good vlog, chaps. /Kaz. Yeah, Lee McCann, nice to see you. I think I've seen you on Twitter or YouTube in comments before as well. Nice to see you. And John's put, Tom, what was your emotions like walking back into Bloomfield Road after such a long time of not being there? Surreal. I think queuing up to get into the stadium, hearing the turnstiles click. There was no sort of beer or drinks being served, but finding your not usual seat, or I haven't got a usual seat because I'm not a season ticket holder, but just where you wouldn't usually sit. We were sat where the away fans would usually sit, but just seeing players warm up, and yeah, the pitch was incredible, even though it had a lot of rain in Blackpool Friday. And yeah, it was a lot to take in. And when we conceded early doors, you think it's still hard to get used to. And then as soon as you sort of start cheering and that goal went in, I think it kind of felt like normal, and we haven't been away. So I can't wait for everybody to be back and for everyone to experience it, really. And it won't be long. Welcome back, Kaz. Matt, your first thoughts on either playoff leg, really. I bet Ben's just sort of summed up Blackpool versus Oxford, which...
I slightly disagree on the first 20 minutes that Blackpool... I thought Oxford were really bright opening 20 minutes, and I thought Blackpool looked really panicked. I think Husband was lucky to get away with one. He got booked. A couple of times he tried to have an extra touch, and I think Oxford sort of latched onto that and thought he's the weak link here, because he was, it was sort of square peg, round hole type thing. But as soon as the first goal went in, Oxford, you could just see it almost like it was like someone had stuck a pin in them, and everything just deflated. And then obviously to concede again so quickly after, and from there on, Blackpool were absolutely spot on. I agree with Ben, but I thought first 20 minutes, I thought they were playing through you quite easily. I thought your midfield was getting overrun. You were brave with your selection, but you rode it out, and that's what you've done all season when you've been under the cosh, and that's why you've only conceded 37 in the regular season. But Ellis Sims, for me, was absolutely superb, and kid's got a big future in the game, whether that's with Blackpool in the Championship, League One, or Everton in the Premier League, or someone else on loan. But he's an absolute unit. He's a handful. He runs the channels. He does everything that you want. Dare I say it, he's probably got more to his game than Jerry Yates. And I know Jerry Yates has got all of the plaudits this season, and deservedly so. But we've got to remember that this is a kid, literally a kid who's learning his trade. And to come in and score 9 in 21 is phenomenal. And I thought, deservedly man of the match, and yeah, Blackpool deserved it, but after the first 20 minutes.
First time in front of fans as well, wasn't it?
You what, sorry, buddy?
It was sorry. It's the first time in front of fans for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he said
in front of fans.
Yeah, he said after the game he's never played in a crowd this big, or in a stadium crowd, and I think he just lapped it up regardless. It wasn't very noisy, was it? I think Oxford fans were quite poor, if I'm being honest. I don't know what they usually like on a regular basis, but to be back in the stadium for the first time in God knows how long, and I thought I know it was the scoreline was 2 quick goals and stuff, but you like to think they would cheer on their fans a little bit more. But
the ground doesn't help the atmosphere, unfortunately, there though, does it? Because it all just floats out one end, because they've just got a car park behind the goal, so you can't generate any noise because it doesn't stay within the stadium. So they might have been loud, but yeah, it always seems quiet. But
as Blackpool fans, we know about that. We had the same sort of stadium layout for a couple of years. Les, I used to take the Priestfield Stadium for granted, never again. I think I said that my last away game or a couple of away games before we all got locked down was Wickham, and we were 2-0 down in 10 minutes. And I said, to be back in that stadium. Kaz, did you watch the first legs League One?
I didn't actually. Been kind of busy.
Yeah,
kind of busy breaking Twitter. Sorry. No. Yeah, I actually haven't seen as many as I would like, but I do keep an eye on the scores. And it's funny because I said last time I was on here I wasn't sure on Blackpool or Lincoln, mainly because Bristol Rovers managed to beat both of them, which is surprisingly we were rubbish. Freezing again, sorry. Proved me wrong. And I said about Oxford making the playoffs, which I was right about. But I think it's going to be a big one at Wembley now in the final.
Yeah, and just on to sort of, we'll discuss Matt Lincoln's and Sunderland for both games. We'll come on to the second leg of the Blackpool match in a second. But Sunderland just didn't show up in the first leg, did they? I mean, they had their odd moments, but in some ways you're not surprised, and in some ways you still can't fathom quite how poor they actually have played in the closing sort of period of the season ending.
For me,
yes, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the two legs basically summed up why Sunderland haven't got automatic promotion, unfortunately, because they didn't turn up at Sincil Bank. We've said all season, if you keep White and you keep McGeady quiet, you keep Sunderland quiet. Aside from that, apart from Maguire, who started the second leg because Lee Johnson had to be braver, there's not a lot in terms of creative spark. And I thought Lincoln were really comfortable in the first leg, and Sunderland switch off. They're sloppy defensively. There was no pace to their play. It was all very lackadaisical and a bit pedestrian. And I know there's a bit of a deflection on the scuff cross or whatever it was for the first goal, but no one picks Hopper up at the back post. I think there's another Lincoln player behind him, so they've got to tap in even if Hopper don't get there. And then Tom Flanagan and Lee Burge have an absolute nightmare for the second, don't they? Where it's number one, Flanagan should probably just put it out for a throw-in or clip it down the channel and it's gone out of a danger zone, but he decides to be clever and go back to his keeper. It's not the best back pass, and then Burge clumps it against Brennan Johnson. On a side note, it's a miracle that Brennan Johnson didn't fall over, but we'll get on to that in a second leg. But no, Lincoln deserved the win first leg comfortably. They were much the better side.
Ben, just your thoughts. I don't know if you disagree with Matt. I completely agree with them. They were comfortable and well up for it. But I've seen on Twitter a lot of sort of Sunderland and Lincoln fans kind of say whose fault it was from the League One goalkeeper of the year. For me, it isn't that bad of a back pass, and he should deal with the situation a bit better. He's literally looked up and just had a whack at it, and hopefully it's gone past him. But for me, he's probably got time just to tap it to the right and clear it. But I don't know what your thoughts were. Maybe hypercritical there, but
no, I agree with what Matt said. I think he's echoed it very, very well. I was in a stream for it. I said in my commentary, I went, Lincoln, every time someone got the ball, they pressed him packed. There was 2-3 of them that went after him, and the energy levels were unbelievable. And that's probably why they struggled for a bit, because they had a lot of injuries and they couldn't rotate as much as they would have liked. And then in that first leg, they just ran and ran for the cause. And they had good chances as well, Lincoln, you've got to remember. I think they hit the woodwork once or twice. Sunderland also hit the woodwork twice. But I thought they were very, very lucky. I think in the first few minutes, Burge makes a save. He doesn't quite give a corner for it, but he saves it onto the bar. And in the second leg, I thought, he looked a bit nervy, Lincoln, I'll be honest with you. And then the manager at half-time made an unbelievable change. He put McGrandles on for Scully. And he just kind of gave him a bit more control in midfield, I thought. And McGrandles is the man who won the penalty, probably should have scored. It was a good chance, good turn. And then Sunderland just couldn't come back. And other than the second half, I don't think Sunderland really created anything. It was pot shots from about 40 yards out, and Lincoln deserved into a man. They were terrific, and they play a very good Blackpool side now in the final, which you can't really call.
No, and I think Michael Apperson said at full time, Matt, they asked him what he said to the players, and he said, I'm quite a nice guy, but I genuinely can't repeat what I've said to them, but just know I said something to them. And he's the opposite to what Johnson did. I don't know what Johnson said to him, apart from the fact that maybe you're going through these are poor and go out and do what he did again and not had any tactical nous about him. But Appleton certainly got into his men and probably said, this is your, a massive opportunity to write your name in history. And they've gone out and proved him you know, they play for their manager, where it's polar opposite on Sunderland's side.
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah, spot
Yeah,
on,
I thought
mate.
the team talk was Lee Johnson shouldn't have to do a team talk at half time. Lee Johnson's got to say 3 words at half time. Same again, lads. That's it. Because they were phenomenal. And that's probably the Sunderland that Graham, and we know we keep going back to when he said they're going to win the league. But if he's watching them do that for periods of games, they can win the league. But the trouble is they're then doing periods like we've seen in the first leg and the second half of the second leg. They just switched off. They just stopped playing. It was like it was 11 different people that went out there. Looked like they'd just been chucked together at half time, never played together. It was so weird to watch. And like Ben said, by the 70th minute, they was just resorting to giving it to centre half and the fullbacks and just lumping big diagonals to Aidan O'Brien or Charlie Wyke, and it wasn't working. And Lincoln probably saw it out relatively comfortably in the end, but they should have been out of sight, shouldn't they, Sunderland? I mean, Charlie Wyke's had his Harry Kane moment in the first half. He's literally got to square it 3 yards to Chris Maguire and it's game over. Why he's shooting, only Charlie Wyke, and I know his brother or someone's come out on Twitter, I think, and said he's been playing with a rib injury, but rib injury or not, that
Still
don't affect your eyes. You look up, you look 3 yards to your right, you give it to your teammate, and you're 3-0 up or 2-0 up, and then you go and score again, and it's game over because Lincoln was shot at that time. But credit Michael Appleton, he was brave. Like Ben said, he got McGrandles on. It changed the complex of the game. They were keeping it better. They were playing through Sunderland, and Sunderland didn't have an answer to it in the end. And Tom Hopper went off and did a Alan Shearer celebration just to rub it in a bit more.
Can I just say as well, Sunderland were playing with it was McFadden at fullback, and it was it Scowen the other fullback. So
yeah.
they looked uncomfortable there, I must admit. And you know, I would have just said run at them, you know, draw fouls because they're not in a natural position. And they made a couple of fouls, didn't they? I think it was Scowen on McGrandles who gave away the penalty. So I think it was very, very good managerial skills that to brave in a playoff semi-final to take one of your your second or your third top goal scoring off in Scully. You've been quiet, but yeah, very, very good managerial skills. And Michael Appleton and Critchley remind me are quite similar. They're very kind of low key during the game. They don't get too up, they never get too down. But after the game, you can see what it means. The way Critchley was the other day, just came into his own, and that's where I found Appleton. And it's going to be an interesting battle in those key moments to see who gets the upper hand. I think it'll be won by a tactical element, and both of them are superb at it.
Absolutely, yeah, well summarised, mate. John's, I think Lincoln's had a shirt with Johnson on the back. He might replace the Vidine Oliver to his right. That's a good shout.
It's up. It is
Be
up.
a bit muddy though, won't it? Be a bit muddy from all the diving on his back on the grass.
I never said he dived. I never said the word dive. Goes down very easily a lot, but I never used the word dived. I was very careful. But yeah, he dives.
I'm not saying anything. I'll become a meme on Sunday night. So, Joe's, but I'd much rather have Sunderland. Matt spot on. McGeady's their only player with any creativity and intelligence. Yeah, well, I think that's been proven. And just a quick thought on the final before we come over to you, Kaz. We'll start with you, if we may. If your internet isn't froze, it has froze. No, we're back. Do you save your good internet for Channel 5 and the BBC? Is that what it is?
You could afford Wi-Fi now, surely.
I don't know why it's playing up today. I have no idea.
Your thoughts on the final? Obviously, you watched a lot of football before the playoffs, and you weren't sure on Lincoln getting playoffs or Blackpool, but you've seen enough of both teams to sort of warrant what kind of game you think it will be. And not to make a call, but how do you think this final is going to play out? Hopefully that's not how our defence goes. Matt, will come to you. Yeah, how do you think the final is going to play out? Ben said it'll be a tactical battle. Oh,
I'm back. Sorry, after this I'll restart and then come back. But yeah, I think they're two very similar sides. So I think it'll be a close game and it'll be 1-0 either way. That's what I think.
Fair enough. Did you want to go now without being too?
Yeah. See you in a second, guys.
Hopefully, Kaz will be back in a minute, because in 5 minutes we need to talk to her about a very important campaign.
Because we're buggered for half hour if she can't get internet working, because that's the show.
It's going to be the shortest show of the series so far. But Ben, I'm struggling a little bit with this match, not only because we're in the final, but I don't know what Lincoln will turn up. And I've seen a lot of people say Blackpool after watching Lincoln in the playoffs should be the side that win. And I know you might agree, but for me, that I've said all along, and I said a few weeks ago when Gary came on, that if there's not one team I do not want, and it's Lincoln, because I know the damage they can do, and I called them to win the playoffs. I'm happy, you can go back and watch, and I've said it, and hopefully I'm wrong, but at the same time, they're not little Lincoln to me, because I resonate with what Barnsley have done and what Blackpool have done, and these teams, if they show they're a combined unit, they can do damage to anybody, and they've proven that all season. And they have been savaged with injuries as Blackpool, and so we've got similar stories. But the only omen I'm holding on to is fifth place hasn't won the playoffs for a very long time. How do you think it's going to play out?
Me?
Yes, Ben. Sorry.
I think it's going to be a very close game, and I was thinking, kind of what the managers would do. And I know Critchley the other day, he said that it felt like there were 40,000 in, and the players have just started to go into their own. You can see them play with that bit of confidence on their faces. Obviously, Blackpool fans were outside, but it was like the last home game of the season, wasn't there? And singing, and the players looked. I'd go back and show the final when you went to the Premiership, 40,000 of you going. If you think 4,000 is good, look how many fans we've actually got. And if he does that, I think Blackpool could win that game. I just think Blackpool, where they are now, I think it's going to be a very, very hard to stop. Yeah, Lincoln are very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I think they've got some very, very good players. But when I look at the matchups, I just think Blackpool are strong in every department. They don't concede, many goals. A few the other day were soft for Blackpool standards, but over the whole course of the season, 37 goals conceded. Lincoln, I think 50 goals. I think that would just get you through in the end, mate. And it's going to be very close. I agree with Kaz. 1 goal to win it. And if anyone's going to score, I think it's going to be someone like an Ellis Sims, or possibly someone from defence, like a Ballard or an Ekpatet, or someone like that can a set piece.
Yeah, I said to Gary on WhatsApp, I said this could either be 4-3 or 1-0. I just think it's got the makings of a real end-to-end game where if Hopper's on form, we score an early goal, they reply. It could just be one of those games which is mental. Do you know what I mean? Or it could be, like you say, a very tactical battle. And I think both teams are going to press, both teams are going to chase each other, and it could be a really rubbish game because just purely on the basis of no one will want to make a mistake, but at the same time, both teams want a lot of the ball. So it's certainly going to be interesting. I don't know your thoughts on the game, Matt. I don't know if your dog is still barking. Hopefully it's not. What are your thoughts on the game come this Sunday?
Yeah, it'd be close. It's 2 good sides. I wrote down the stats, did some notes today. Obviously, you finished 3rd, Lincoln finished 5th. There was 3 points in it. There was 1 win difference, 23-22. Same amount of draws. Lincoln lost 13, you lost 12. 22 clean sheets against 19. So both generally are solid. Does it come down to who is more solid? And to reiterate what Ben said, Blackpool are more solid. I think they all know their jobs. I think if there's one missing, someone comes in and knows the job to do as well. And that's been seen in the playoffs. Husband come in, played as an emergency centre half, and hadn't played recently. You'd gone with the young lad, Jordan Thornley. He didn't play. You kept a clean sheet in the first leg, which was when it really mattered. And both teams have threats. But I think Blackpool are going to edge it just. It'll be nervy and it'll be horrible to watch as a Blackpool and a Lincoln fan. And as a neutral, it'd be lovely because I think it'll be a good game. But I just saw more from Lincoln in that second leg that I thought they'll get twitchy at Wembley a little bit. I think Blackpool seem just a little bit more level-headed about everything. And they've got Jerry Yates as well. I know George Grant's the Lincoln top scorer, but it's 13. But I think half a dozen of them have been penalties. Yates has got 20. You've got Sims on 8, but that's only in 21 games in the regular season. And Kai, if he's fit, will he start? I'm not sure. Probably not. But it's one hell of an option to have from the bench as well. You look at Grant, Scully, Johnson, they're the top 3 scorers for Lincoln. Scully, will he start? Potentially not. McGrandles might start now after having an impact in the second leg at the Stadium of Light. I have my opinions on Brennan Johnson. Everyone knows that, and I'm very vocal about it. But he's got all the ability in the world, and he'll be a threat. I've wrote 3 key players down for each now: Sims, Dougal, and Yates for Blackpool, and Hopper, Bridcut, and Grant for Lincoln. Purely because Hopper scored in both legs. Bridcut keeps them ticking over, and Grant's the star player effectively for me. And Sims has been brilliant. Yates has got 20 goals, and Dougal, it could be the key in sat in front of the back four. So 2-1 Blackpool for me. Sims and Yates. Johnson for Lincoln.
That's the dream. And I know you've got some right, so this is in jest, but Joe Affers is, oh no, because you've predicted a Pool win. A couple of comments in here. As a Gills fan, I have more faith in Blackpool to win the final. The way the Townshend finished the season, they looked untouchable as weak and have weaknesses. Only in top 8 to take 4 points off Blackpool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're a Lincoln fan. The first game for me, I'm not saying I'm going to disregard it, but we had about 8 different players on the pitch than what we've got now, and we were in not dire form, but we looked a mess. But the game at York, Since Bank, I'll still call it, was phenomenal. I think for 70 minutes we could have been 4-5-0 up, and you took both chances really well. So that's why I'm a bit nervy that we haven't taken a win off you this season, and Johnson, and I just don't know how the wings will hurt us. But Les has summed up the playoffs are great, aren't they? I love it. They are rarely boring matches. Yeah, sorry, I misread your thing there as well. Yeah, so rarely boring matches. You're right. It just brings out why we love football. But that's enough about playoffs. We're going to go to talk to Kaz now, who's just joined us. Right on time. And Kaz, for those that have lived under a rock potentially, tell the viewers and listeners about the fantastic campaign you've started recently.
Okay, let me know if my internet goes again. I have moved, so hopefully it's fine. So started a campaign up called Hergametoo, which is basically aimed at the sexist abuse and comments that female football fans receive in the football world. Me and a group of girls, so I had 11 other girls with me, we decided to make a video holding up pieces of paper to show what kind of abuse we've had. It sort of exploded, to be honest, and it went crazy on social media, which was amazing. We weren't expecting the response to be that big. We got 1 million views in 24 hours, and we've had 7,000 followers now in a week, which is amazing. So really positive response, and looking forward to kicking on from here and seeing what else we can do with it.
Yeah, and this is going to sound, and don't take this the wrong way, listeners and viewers, but this is going to sound exactly the same as what you've just said. When I first watched the video, I thought, very powerful, incredible. And then I saw the views, and then I clicked onto the profile. Then I saw your followers, and I was like, wow. I was like, that is exceptional, and a welcome message clearly to a lot of people on social media. Obviously, what's the reaction been like? Obviously, being on national telly, how have you and the 11 other ladies come to terms with a little bit of stardom, but at the same time putting out a message which is so vital?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the word we've all agreed on is overwhelming, which is what it has been. I mean, it's like overwhelming in a good way. There has been negative comments as well. I warned the girls to be thick-skinned with any comments we might receive, because we knew there'd be some sort of backlash, because there always is with stuff like this. And there has been some really awful things as well, but the positivity just outweighs all the bad stuff. I would say it's probably been about 98% positive, actually, which is incredible. And then all of the news and the radio interviews and the newspapers and everyone that's got in touch has just been so, like I said, overwhelming. I mean, the support has just been incredible. Been in the Mirror. We were on Channel 5 National News tonight. We've done BBC. We've done ITV. We've had Sky Sports get in touch. They want to do something this week. Sky News want to do something this week. We just can't believe how big it's got in such a short amount of time. So, yeah, we're really grateful.
Ben, I don't know if you had any questions or any comments you want to talk to Kaz about.
Yeah, I first saw it and I thought, awesome, really. And you see all the comments about, Alex Scott, Laura Ward's being on the TV all the time, when, let's be honest, I think those two are probably the best on there, if I'm honest with you, just because how positive they are and how good at the job they are. And in a way, I know this is going to sound wrong, but the negative abuse that came with it was probably a good thing in hindsight, because you're just basically showing what comments you do receive, and more people are seeing that and thinking that is wrong. And So people are going, no, that isn't acceptable. What these girls are doing is terrific, and it sent out a great message to get 2 million people, and just to see like people sending pictures of the daughters playing football or watching football or watching any sport. And I just thought, that's a very, very good message. And, when you first thought of it, was there anyone out of the girls thinking, I'm a bit nervous about this? Or was it always like, I don't care, this needs to be said?
When I first sent out the message to the girls and sort of said, this is my idea, I'd love to have you all on board, I think you'd be great ambassadors for this, they literally agreed in a heartbeat. There was nothing, not one of them were like, oh, I don't think it's necessary, or and I only ever asked those 11 girls and they all said yes. And I thought, well, I don't want the video to be too long, so I'm not going to get too many girls on it. So I thought this is probably enough to make a short, quick statement, quick video, and that will just get the message out there. So luckily they all said yes, and I didn't need to go scouting for anyone else. And I followed those girls for years anyway, so I thought, I've seen it. I know they've had abuse on social media, they've been outspoken about it, they're going to be behind this campaign. So yeah, like there was a bit of nerves obviously the day we launched it, because it was like, wow, we're really going to do this, and we didn't know how it was going to go down, we didn't know what comments we were going to get, so it was a bit of a build up which we felt a bit scared about. But then when it started gaining traction, it was just then all of a sudden it was quite numbing in a way, because it was like, whoa, it's exploded really quickly. And we were all in our group chat just trying to digest how big it had got really quickly, and there wasn't really any time to be nervous after that, because we had to respond to all these interviews and these comments and this messages of support. So yeah, it all happened very fast, which was good for us.
Absolutely. And Matt?
Yeah, just obviously well done from everyone, I think, because it's been unreal. I mean, we was having a chat, weren't we, on Twitter that morning, because you'd said, can I retweet it? And I think I looked at 10 past and it was on 7,500 views in 10 minutes. It was just frankly stupid. And I looked like 5 minutes later and I put caps lock on and was like, it's double that now. It was just staggering. And I found myself just checking that video sort of repeatedly every 20 minutes, just thinking, how far is this going? And I was like, this is absolutely mental. Something's gone here. This is a monster. How have you dealt with the idiots? Because that's what they are. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend they're anything other than morons. And I've seen the comments that you've had to deal with. I'm sure Ben and Tom have as well. And I've had to bite my tongue a couple of times. The irony of these dickheads, for want of a better word, on social media that you see, and then they're like, you look at their profile and it's like, oh, dad to 2 daughters, and you think, how thick are you? Like, you obviously are wired up wrong, but how have the girls and yourself specifically responded to the shit? Sorry, there's any kids watching, because it's I said to you, you've been brave, because you're basically putting your heads on the chopping block. You're going to invite it from the idiots, from the minority, and obviously the positive outcome has been a lot bigger and a lot more widespread than those. But have the girls been all right with it and been okay with it? And so I'd imagine there's been a fair bit of blocking or muting in the last sort of 10 days.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's a bit funny from my point of view. I used to be quite, I every time I get a negative comment, it used to hit me quite hard. But it was weird. I kind of got more defensive over the other girls than myself. So I was getting to the point where I was like, I'd rather they directed it at me and not them. This is my idea. Like, all the pelters should come my way. If you think it's an awful video, if you think it's a stupid idea, throw it at me, not the girls. So I think I was more worried about them than I was myself, which was really good for me, actually, because nothing phased me as such. And I said to the girls, I was like, you've just got to have a thick skin with this, because it's undoubtedly the more positivity we got, the more negative ones were going to start creeping in. And they've been fantastic. Especially with some of them where I think, okay, they've not had it on the scale as some of the rest of us have. So like me, Bobby, Amy, we've had it quite bad compared to some of the girls. So I was a bit worried about the girls that are a little bit more quiet on social media and haven't had it to the same scale. But they've all been fantastic. And I think, to be honest, the support has just made these negative ones funny. So we're in this group chat, we're picking in some of the negativity we've had, and we're just laughing at it. And that's the best way to do it. You know, you have people that said like, oh, I bet these girls never go to games. You've just got to laugh at stuff like that, because we do. And it's like, all you got to do is check my Twitter for the past few years on my Instagram. You'll see I go to games, and I go to a lot of them. And a lot of it is just false. A lot of it's jealousy. So you've just got to look at it, take it with a pinch of salt, and just focus on the positives. And they've been so good at that.
I think,
cool. No, that's good.
I think the people quoting or adding sort of comments to your tweets are probably trying to use you as clout to try and get themselves some likes. But ultimately, like you say, it's like a bear trap, isn't it? It's like, excuse me, you can just say, everybody look at this person.
Yeah.
and like you say, your thousands upon thousands of followers can just either mute that person or call him out, and it will eradicate it. And it's a bit like racism, isn't it? The more people that see it, as much as it is absolutely disgusting to see, the more we'll get used to it not becoming the norm, because it's what it has been, hasn't it? Let's face it, it's quite there's no reason, it's not a reason you've made this campaign is because you fancy doing it. It's because this message needs to be heard. And credit to National News. I know we criticise them for covering different sort of side of the spoon a little bit, but Sky Sports just doing Premier League and not focused on other stuff. But for those to get on board with it so quickly and vocalise it is absolutely exceptional. And I think, and rightly so, we're now seeing the Euros with females on the front of covers of presentation. And like Ben said, Laura Woods has been phenomenal on TalkSport and other medias, and she's been with Akin Fenway, hasn't she? And those two are just incredible together. And it's good for me to see it as normality now, and I think, like you said, it will eradicate any people or scum that just think it's acceptable to bully ladies, and I just think it's so powerful. And to do what you've done within a week is just exceptional. There's been about a week or so now, isn't it? 2 weeks.
Week and 2 days
and 7 minutes.
Not counting or anything.
But have you? This might be a question you don't know the answer to yet, and it might depend on who contacts you. But what sort of plans have you got going into next season, or just as a campaign in general, when more football fans are going to be sort of live and active to your campaign?
So we've got some plans up our sleeve, which we're not going to say what it is yet, because we want to contact female football fans first and then sort of get it out there. We've started that process already. So the main aim now is to get as many females and males on board as possible. A lot of people sort of spreading awareness, spreading the word, getting people's stories was what we want to do. We want to get stories from as many female fans as we can, and get it out there so people understand that not only do they love the game, but what they have to deal with when they're at the game or talking about the game. So it's all about getting people's stories out there and making people aware of the scale of what women have to deal with. So that's going to be one of our first steps. We've got some surveys that we've whipped up some surveys that we're going to ping out to some girls just to see the scale as data, to see how bad it really is, what women have to deal with, what age group, what background, how bad it is for certain people. So we've got that coming up. We're going to do something for the Euros as well. So we're going to tie in events that are going on with this campaign, and just get as many women coming forward backing it, as many men backing it as we can. And I had a really great email from someone that manages the sports pubs all across the UK. So the likes of Walkabout, Cider Press, Slug and Lettuce, and all those big chains that he manages. He's very keen to get Hergametoo in those pubs in some sort of way, whether that's screening our video throughout the summer, which is one thing they suggested, getting our logo put about, just so female fans, when they go to watch a game of football in a pub, because I think we can all agree, you walk into the pub when the football's on, it's 90% men, and that could be quite an intimidating atmosphere, even if it's not intended. So what we want to do in these pubs is make women feel like this pub that they're in is fully behind the campaign. If you do have any sexism, if you encounter any sexism while the football's on, you can speak to a member of staff there, and you have their full support. A bit of like a safe haven for female fans to go to, which is what our ultimate aim is.
And that just like I said, I know it's only been a short time, but already you can tell it's going to be something that's going to be around forever, in my opinion. Like, this can live on for decades and decades to come, and until with all due respect, this sounds really harsh, I don't want to come across the wrong way, but until it's a normality and people accept it, your mission won't be complete, and it's going to be relentless. And if you see it all over, you're right, Ben.
Yeah, very good, mate, very good.
He's just in the comment.
No, it's going to be a good game, but I'll probably see you next season, Joe, mate. I'll probably see you next, unless the result doesn't go your way. You might be getting the message. The words you don't like seeing. Play well today, mate.
The comment from Les Smith here: word for female police officers and stewards in football grounds. I've heard some dreadful things, yeah, and like you said, that this is the start of what Matt just alluded to as well. This is a massive. It's like a machine that's just booted up, and everyone's gone, whoa. And the fact you're on national TV and stuff already is in its preliminary stages or early stages is going to be great. And like you said, fingers crossed it continues to grow, and I'm sure it will now. You've got the backing of so many powerful media outlets as well. And Dave, you had any more questions, Matt? You're on mute, bud. You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, the dog started barking again, so I had to put it on mute. No, just keep it up. Obviously, I'm happy to retweet and shout out. I've said that plenty of times, and the third tier would do the same, I'm sure. And obviously, Ben's got hundreds of followers on Twitter. So, yeah, keep doing it and keep being loud. And like I said, just ignore the minority, because that's what they are at the end of the day. And no, fair play and a round of applause to everybody that's been involved.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, your support means a lot, and anyone's support, to be honest. I think the more men that can get behind this, there's going to be one sexist person in a group of 20 lads or whatever. So if men can, they're sat at the pub and their mate says something, oh, a woman doesn't belong. If men just turn around and say this is not okay, then gradually it's going to get smaller and smaller because the scale at the moment is just too big. I don't expect it to ever go away. You're always going to get an idiot somewhere along the line, but I think the more we can get men behind it and women behind it as a powerful force, then we can definitely build a better future for women in football.
100%. My 13-year-old daughter asked for a season ticket for next season as well today, so I'm very happy with that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
send us photos. Put it on for a game too.
Today about season ticket news, and there's still no season ticket news. I think every club in League One's sold about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000. Jules haven't even announced anything, so it'll be a rush job, I think, in about a month. But yeah, no, I was well happy with that. So
you're passing on the pain, Matt. You're passing on the pain.
Yeah, exactly.
Your turn now.
Exactly.
You're not going to take her to the Priestfield, are you, mate? Surely there's a better team locally.
Well, I can't take her anywhere else if she wants a dual season ticket, unfortunately, because they don't let you in. So
fingers crossed.
Oh, I'm in the playoff final.
Mate, I've said now, I'm staying humble. It's been a terrific season, and fingers crossed we can do it. But no, I'm not. I've been like that. I've said I called it, and the worst thing is I called Lincoln about 4 weeks ago, didn't I? 5 weeks ago, and yeah, let's hope I'm incorrect, and I'm more than happy to be incorrect. So another comment here. Once again, it's a really fantastic campaign that Kaz has started. Really pleased to see our work's blown up. Sexton needs to stop, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think for now, I think the last show, like I said, guys, is next week. A much or shorter show this week, but really important to have Kaz on and just to recap the playoffs. But Kaz, we will say if we want to actually invite Bobby on next time, she or any others is absolutely welcome into next season, and you might even be like millionaires and all around the world at that point. Who knows? But how this can kick off. But if you can remember Little Third Tier at some point, you're more than welcome in the new season. And thank you so much for coming on.
Oh no, thank you for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
No, you're most welcome. Matt, last show next week. I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully I'll be even croakier and maybe hungover. But thank you. Thanks for coming on tonight, and I'll speak to you next week.
100%. Now it's been good again, and like I say, it's important to get the word out there. So any little thing that we can do, it don't take a second to retweet, does it? So
not at all. And Ben, say the best till last. There's a little compliment for you. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully you are upset next week. As much as I don't want to put pain onto people, I really hope you are upset next week.
No, I don't honestly. Like, I have a laugh and a joke with it. I think if you go up, you've been good. I put a comment on before. You've been good over 46 games, but 37 games if you think about it. But if you go up, you deserve it, and you're there for a reason. So I wish you the best of luck, Tom. And I actually hope they do it for you. So I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, it's been a joy. And it's been a joy to listen to Kaz as well on the campaign. I think it's a really good job, and anything that I can do or we can do to help, I'm sure we will, and hopefully keep this out of the game because it needs to be gone.
Absolutely.
We've got to retweet stuff anyway because then we get free merch.
Yeah, I expect you all to be wearing Hergametoo t-shirts when they come out.
Please, yep, send it straight over. I needed a triple XL after Friday after the beer.
Noted.
Last comment: does Tom get kicked off the first? It's my podcast. I can't kick myself off.
To be fair, Tom, people having pictures with you the other day. I'm surprised not charging us for coming on to co-host with you.
No, it was Joe. He said, "Do you mind if I have a thing?" And then I had some people come up and said, "I really love the preview show for the spot and stuff." And I was like, "Is this what it feels like to be a celebrity, but just on a really rubbish scale?"
Someone came up to me in the pub the other day. I messaged you straight away. I love what you do, and it's like
it was my good friend.
It's just that sort of stuff can make you feel like $1 million, and it kind of kicks out all the nasty comments that you get. And if you can get loads of them, I think you just got to ignore the idiots, like Matt said before. And there are going to be, you put yourself in the limelight, there are going to be idiots, but most people are nice.
Yeah,
that was my good friend Andy Houston. He called me up. He said, "I've just seen your mate from the podcast. He's a very, very lovely man. He's I don't think Mr. Blackpool game for decades, or England game home and away. He's an absolute phenomenal bloke. He loves football. So he's in big support of you as well, Kaz. I know he's watching tonight. But he said it's really good to have you on as well. So we'll end it there, guys. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Good evening.
Thank you.